Good afternoon. I'm very glad that you're still here on a Thursday afternoon. I didn't expect a full room. Welcome, and thanks for coming. We have a very exciting session, or at least I think so, after talking for a couple of weeks with one of the organizations using AX 2012. What we will do is, I wanted to provide you a small framework. It's like a framework how you can frame the discussion between business and IT. It's a small value framework. It's a very pragmatic framework, so I can keep it very short, to 10 minutes. And then we have a Q&A, so we will go to the stools. And Denise and Robert, they will share some of their experiences. Denise is representing the business. Robert is representing IT in their 2,000 employee company, 10 sites across the world. And I think it's amazing that they implemented AX 2012 by themselves and are maintaining that with a very small team of 4 people in IT and 4 people that support the business. So we have about 45 minutes of Q&A, first with the 3 of us. But I would like to invite you to ask them questions as well. And as part of that Q&A, they actually brought a demo, which I think is really cool. It's a demo on a Surface device of one of their apps they developed in-house. So that's the agenda for today. I started off with a small video about kind of the CIO representing IT in organizations. And what I would like to offer you is kind of a small framework on how to build a business case for IT, whether it's initial ERP selection, whether it's an upgrade, whether it's a major expansion of the footprint of ERP. I think it would work for all of these. And the video that I just showed, I believe it represents a little bit the future CIO or IT manager. What we see is that more and more IT is getting out of the kind of the back office business and moving to the front office, going from a cost center to helping drive revenue, IT-led revenue. So these are the goals for the session. I'm hoping that we, the 3 of us, can provide you with a simple framework. For the CIO, for business leaders, it could be a conversational framework with the IT team. And if there are any partners in the room here, it could also apply. It also applies for consultants. This is what we see at many organizations today. And again, if you look at the business, which is the left side of the 4 squares on the slide, we see that there's a rapid change. And of course, you know the expression of rapid change, but we see that business models change. You can get a competitor in your market, and within 6 months or 12 months, the competitive landscape and the market can be different. So the world is just changing more and more. We as Microsoft, we're in software. Since about, I would say, 1.5 years, we are suddenly a retailer as well, both online as well in store, which changes the dynamic in the organization. So we see that changes. It's almost a constant over time. Then users' attitude towards IT change a lot, and I think you all see that. People bringing their own devices. How I name it always is there's an app for that mentality, also towards ERP and business applications. So users want an answer to the problems that they have today. And the monolithic implementations that were a characteristic for business applications, whether it's CRM, ERP, or anything else, they don't accept it anymore. So they want smaller sprints versus long-time, very risky implementations. So that's what we see on the business side of the house. And on the IT side of the house, we see a changing decision maker. Gartner actually predicts that in 2017, the CMO has a larger IT budget than the CIO. So we see that the decision-making power moves out of the IT department over that IT budget. So there's more reason to closely collaborate between business and IT. If we look at the legacy systems in place, it looks like that graph over on the right side. So organizations grow, you buy companies, you get ERP implementations, legacy implementations, and before you know it, you have a landscape of so many applications where you have a hard time maintaining these. Data integrity is a challenge. That these kind of legacy environments paralyze you very much, especially when the left side of the house, the business, wants even more change and help with their business challenges. If you look at the IT budget and how that's spent today, analysts see that you can actually bucket that in three categories. So the one is what they call run. Run is the goal of making operations, whether it's IT operations or business operations, more efficient. So it's a cost saving. The second one is grow, so helping the organizations grow into new markets, new products, growing the number of users. We have a perfect example later on in the session. The last one is transform. So how can you get to new channels? How can you add additional information to your services? So how can you drive IT-led revenue as a third one? If you look at what analysts see at the moment, is that of all of the IT resources, including the budget, more than 60% actually goes to keeping lights on and operational efficiency. So looking back to that graph that you saw, the little drawing that you saw, we have one of our enterprise customers. They have more than 600 business applications. Their reasonably large IT team supports all these applications. One person in the team is supporting 17 different applications. So now you can imagine that most of the budget actually goes to run. We see that only 20% goes to grow and 14% goes to transform. When talking to a lot of you over the past 3-4 years, we found out that there are very typical scenarios that you do in each of these phases. And this session is a little bit different than the other sessions. So I wanted to give you a little bit of an overview of what we see that you as customers do in the different phases. And excuse me for this slide. Don't look at the right side of the slides. I keep it in a deck because if you download it, you might be interested to look at the details. It is about the left side of the slide. So what you see is that the value actually goes up. These are 4 of the typical scenarios that we see. The first 2, and these are for the run phase. And you see the run phase is very much focused on being more efficient. The lower 2, you can see it's very much on the IT side. Lifecycle services that we just announced here at the conference is, for instance, such a tool set that you can use to make that application lifecycle management more easy. So you reduce IT cost. The second one, optimized deployment with R2 that we just released. It's the first time that you can actually run a single instance deployment of AX with all the 36 Microsoft official localizations that we provide, including Brazil, China, Japan. So this is the first time in time that we enable that. So you can think about the different deployment options, whether it's a single instance or whether it's multiple instances. I think we touch upon that a little bit later. There are, of course, a lot of decisions that you make in that. The others are internal controls and self-service. Self-service is a very interesting one that we see. Robert actually brought a very nice demo. But we see these self-service scenarios more and more, where AX is used as kind of the storage of the data. And through self-service concepts, the data is being exposed to users in an easy way. Whether it is through workflow, whether it's via portals, or in the form of BI. And you see in 2012 and 2012 R2, major enhancements in each of these. Portals, we have the external portal as part of our retail capabilities. The e-procurement was already in AX 2012, the R1 version, and we have an integration with the Power View of SQL 2012. There's a specific session on that if you have not seen it. Check out virtual convergence. This is one that I wanted to stress a little bit on, talk about the single instance deployment, because you see again the interaction between business and IT. And if you look at these organizations that have sites across the organization, this is a pattern that we see all over. So what we see is that you see that white line in there. Above the white line is actually the business. Underneath it's the IT department. And what we see, the situation traditionally is that there are multiple disparate systems across the organization. So it's often the CFO that wants to have all the data in a single system to see that. So what you see is that CFO on the top is driving for standardizing process and getting insight in the data. The CIO, the CFO teams with the CIO in this phase, wants to reduce ERP IT costs. So get rid of all these ERP instances and get to a single ERP technology. If the CFO has been able to standardize processes, you can only optimize and starting to optimize processes if your processes across the organization look alike. So we see often that the second phase in this standardization is optimizing processes. The CFO is still involved, but hands it over to often the operational manager. At that time, the IT manager is interested in making sure that not only the ERP is standardized, but the entire platform underneath that is standardized as well. And then it goes into the synergy of processes like shared services and some of the capabilities that we made available in AX 2012 R2. So that's on the run side. For the growth side, you can do a similar thing. The slides are available, so I go through it a little bit faster. But some of the scenarios that we see are, especially on the one, since AX 2012, the footprint of the ERP is so much bigger than 2009 and the others, is that we see that a lot of organizations actually have an ability to expand the footprint of the ERP over the organization. So HR is one of these examples. Indirect procurement is another one. So we see that a lot of organizations team up with the business, IT with the business, to see how they can expand that footprint. The other one is that we see a very large portion of growing companies within our organization being able to roll out AX quickly to multiple of their sites and countries. So another compelling reason to choose for AX, and I think we touch base on that later as well. The third category is about transforming your business. So going away from being a cost center, making processes more efficient, to actually see how you can drive revenue with it. One of the most kind of popular scenarios is manufacturing and distribution organizations, professional public sector organizations, looking for a direct channel with consumers. So we see a lot of organizations going online and even starting retail stores. So retail is one of these examples. But even the scenario where you have improved service delivery, where you can actually disclose information about the products that you ship to your vendors, to your customers, or on top of that, even providing IT services to your vendors. So we have franchise organizations, for instance, that run AX, but actually offer AX as a service to the stores that run AX as a service with all of the consultancy and support of that, making it also much easier to do supply chain integration. So we see these scenarios happening as well. So with that framework in mind, I wanted to transition to the Q&A. So I wanted to ask Robert and Denise to the front to see if we could Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
I'm really excited.
We are too.
Maybe the first thing is when you're talking to someone from an organization, it's always hard to picture their processes and what they create. So Robert sent me the photo of one of their products. Before you introduce yourself, could you maybe tell a little bit about the product that you...
Absolutely. We're MGS Manufacturing Group. We've been around since 1982. We started out with 7 gentlemen in a garage. And when I started with the organization 17 years ago, we had less than 100 employees. Now we're grown to 2,000 employees. And if we pop back to the previous slide, it's kind of an interesting scenario we did here. I'm kind of glad he picked this situation. This is a custom line of cells that we built with our engineering house. We built everything you see there. We built the 600-ton presses. We built the automation. We built all of the testing and the functional part of this entire product. We took a company that was making 20 of these items in a given day because it was a very manual process. And we were producing, on each one of these 600-ton machines, we were producing 4 every 30 seconds. With full testing. And everything was logged to serialization. We had all of the traceability. And that kind of gets to the point of where IT is becoming more of a revenue grower. We were in danger of losing this customer when, before we did all of this kind of stuff. And what we were able to show them is when we put all of this automation in place and all of this testing facility in place, we sent them millions and millions and millions of parts without any defects whatsoever. So based on what we were able to do with all of our testing and logging and everything else, it actually grew the business. This is not even the entire cell. The other side of that view is an identical structure to that. So it made our business grow so much that we were able to, on the other side of that wall, build a Class 100,000 clean room and got us into the medical molding facility in our Germantown plant as well. So we've been able to make phenomenal growth within our company with some of our IS and IT developments and to ensure that the customer got 100% quality.
Nice. Before we go further,
Sure.
Maybe it's good to introduce the two of you. Denise,
Sure.
do you want to start?
Sure. Denise Stuffel. I've been with MGS for 10 years. I am the corporate functional architect. So I am the voice of the user, the voice of the business in all of the designs that we've been doing and what we've implemented over the past year.
Perfect.
So, and she actually was in charge of the ERP system prior to this.
Right.
Kind of give you a little background about where we came from. Since we were such a small organization when we started, the CEO, the owner, MGS stands for Mark George Sellers, came to me and said, you know, we got to get an ERP system for over there. We had at that time 5 presses running. So what are we going to do? And I'm like, you know, Mark, I don't know anything about MRP. I don't know anything about that kind of stuff. I came from an engineering background. So he said, you know what, I got a friend of mine. He runs this software. Let's just buy this software. I'm like, all right. So we took a look at it. We said, Mark, I don't know if this thing can run your business, but it's really bad technology. But we'll give it a whirl. We'll give it a whirl. So we brought it in, and we had a different functional team at that time, because this was about 12 years ago. And it fell horribly flat on its face. Denise was nice enough to come in.
Yes. In 2002, so when I started there, the current ERP system was barely used.
Yeah.
So we expanded it, took it out to its capabilities, but the company started growing at the same time.
At a ferocious
And so
rate.
we are now 10 locations.
Yep.
We have 5 molding facilities. We are in 3 countries around the world. We have a diverse complements. We are molding, we build molds, we build machines, we build automation. We do a lot of things.
We do transfer programs, so we take in,
Right.
there were a number of customers that had plastic molding sites
that wanted to get out of the
that
business.
wanted to get out of the business. We took over their business.
Right.
And
But as a result, we had a ERP system that was plastic specific. So you can see that when you apply that to mold building and tool making and automation, it doesn't fit. We quickly outgrew our ERP system.
Because what I also understand is that you changed in your product portfolio a lot.
We did.
Yep,
we did
yep.
from very
We were very
simplistic
Motorola.
molding, and yes,
we were
yeah.
very heavily Motorola specific.
Right.
We were
Yes.
building a lot of cell phone products.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing some stuff with Intel. We switched gears and got into automotive, medical. We're TS certified. We're automotive certified. We're 13485 medical certified.
Mm-hmm.
So you had a system that didn't
We
do.
had a system.
You had processes that changed. You had
We did.
phrases growth.
We did.
What that
So we built a lot around that system to make it work.
We put,
We put a lot-
as most can relate to, we applied a lot of Band-Aids,
right,
right? To make it work.
Yes, sir.
What did you guys use originally?
We used a plastic-specific one. It's called TMM. It's made to
progress-based.
manage. It's a progress-based
Yep.
database.
So I mean, the long and the short of it is we got to a certain point, and we said, you know what? The company came to us and they said, you know what? We're ready for another growth spurt. We have this tendency where we grow and then stop, stabilize, grow, stop, stabilize, grow.
Right.
So we were at the growth phase, and the owner came to me and he said, so we want to double. We want to double within the next 2 to 3 years again. Are we ready for it? And I said, Mark, I can't tell you that we're even close to ready for it. We are beyond our capacity. We need to do something, and we need to do something right away.
Right. And that's where AX came in too, or Microsoft and Dynamics came into the equation.
And when was that?
We actually started looking for a product in the spring of 2010? 2011. 2011.
Yep.
And we had a very
We had a short
short search process from start to finish, 3 months.
Right.
And it's 2012, right? That you.
2012.
Yep. We started to
Yes.
implement 2009. We took a gander at 2012, and we said, wow, look at all this normalization. Look at all the changes that they made to the AIF services and all that kind of stuff. We really want to, wait and take the jump with 2012.
Right.
So we didn't start in earnest to try to convert until January of this past year.
Mm-hmm.
We needed to, from an organization, our CFO said that we are a lean organization. We are not going to implement in small stages. We're going to do all of North America. So we did our 5 facilities in North America all at once.
Yes.
And Denise, what is the footprint that you support with AX 2012 in terms of business processes?
We actually we go from the accounting, the ERP, obviously, the manufacturing. All of that is in in AX.
We're end to end. We go all the way from procurement, scheduling, ordering, everything all the way through to shipping and
Right.
and everything in between.
The whole point was that we wanted a single source.
One source of
One
truth.
source of truth. We heard it again and again, but it really makes sense. I mean, our people prior to this were in spreadsheet heaven, right?
Right.
Because our ERP system did not handle it.
We had that picture you guys had up a little while ago where there was a million points of light. And it's too hard. As a business decision maker, you can't look at all of that and try to interpret it and come up with anything whatsoever.
Right.
So we were mandated to come up with something in a short time frame. So our main goals were to look for something that was, global, because we have an Ireland facility, we have a Mexico facility, we have a Shenzhen, China facility, and we're looking, quite honestly, at far more global areas as well. We had that as one of our prime goals. Our second prime goal was we needed it to be easy to use. Everything that we had been building over the last number of years on the production side of the house has been point of use, single, push the data entry down to the level of
The
use,
user.
point of use.
Right.
So we did not want any people to have to hop in and out of ERP systems
Right.
and things like that.
And the other reason, right, is that most of our